All right, lads and ladies, gather around for a story, a tale that transcends time, a saga of music, love, and a whirlwind of emotions. This is not just any story, it's about a band that redefined music and culture forever. A story about love, music, and a band you might have heard of, the Beatles. Yes, those four lads from Liverpool who took the world by storm with their infectious tunes and charismatic personalities. We've got John Lennon and the cheeky one with a heart of gold. John was not just a musician, he was a poet, a dreamer, and a voice for peace. His wit and wisdom were as sharp as his guitar riffs. And then there's Paul McCartney, the cute one with all the catchy tunes. Paul was the melodic genius, crafting songs that could make you dance, cry, and everything in between. His versatility and charm made him a fan favourite. Don't forget George Harrison, the quiet one with hidden depths. George was the spiritual soul of the band, bringing in influences from Indian music and philosophy. His introspective nature added a unique layer to the Beatles' sound. And of course Ringo Starr, the drummer who held the whole crazy train together. Ringo's steady beats and affable personality made him the glue that kept the band grounded amidst the chaos. These four lads from Liverpool, they took the world by storm. From their early days at the Cavern Club to their meteoric rise to fame, the Beatles became a global phenomenon, changing the face of music forever. But behind those groovy tunes and mop-top haircuts, drama was brewing. Fame and fortune brought its own set of challenges, and the pressures of being in the spotlight began to take their toll. Enter Yoko Ono, a Japanese artist with a unique style. Some people loved her, some people, well, didn't. Yoko was an avant-garde artist, pushing boundaries and challenging conventions. Her relationship with John Lennon was as controversial as it was passionate, but one thing's for sure, she turned the Beatles' world upside down. Yoko's influence on John was profound, and it inevitably affected the dynamics within the band. Some saw her as a muse, while others blamed her for the band's eventual breakup. How, you ask? Buckle up, Buttercup, it's about to get bumpy. The story of the Beatles and Yoko Ono is one of love, conflict, and artistic evolution. It's a tale of how four young men from Liverpool became the voice of a generation, and how one woman's presence could stir the waters of an already turbulent sea. So sit tight as we dive deeper into the highs and lows, the triumphs and tribulations of the Beatles and the mysterious artist who changed everything. John met Yoko at an art gallery. Now, John was a Beatle, a big deal. Yoko, she was doing her own thing, making art that made people think. Some people didn't get it, but John, he was intrigued. They started chatting and chatting and chatting. Soon they were inseparable. John was smitten, but here's the thing. John was married, not to Yoko. Oops. Yeah, this is where things get a bit messy. Now, the Beatles, they were used to doing their own thing in the studio, writing songs, jamming, maybe having a laugh or two. But then Yoko started showing up. And she wasn't just there for the tea and biscuits. She had opinions, lots of opinions, about the music, about the lyrics, about everything. Imagine that. The Beatles, used to being top dogs, suddenly had Yoko in the mix. Tension, you bet. Paul McCartney, bless his soul, he tried to be nice, he really did. He wanted everyone to get along. But even Paul, the king of catchy melodies, had his limits. Yoko was always around, sitting in on recording sessions, even offering her own musical contributions. Some say it was inspiring, others, they reckon it sounded like a cat in a dustbin. Ringo makes a run for it, but comes back. Even Ringo, the easygoing drummer, had enough. He was so fed up with the drama, he actually quit the band for a bit. Can you imagine? Ringo walking out, that's how bad it got. Luckily, Ringo came back. The lure of the music, and maybe a few heartfelt apologies, brought him home. But still, Ringo quitting, that's a big red flag right there. The public's turn to say her, the Beatles fans, they were loyal. They loved the music, the haircuts, the whole shebang. But even they were starting to scratch their heads. Who was this Yoko woman, and why was she always hanging around their favorite band? The press had a field day. Yoko breaks up the Beatles, the headlines screamed. Was it true? Well, that's a story for another time, but one thing's for sure. The public was invested. Breakup time. Whose fault is it anyway? The Beatles were like a four-legged table, each member a vital leg holding the whole thing up. But with Yoko in the picture, it was like someone had shoved a great big wedge under one of those legs. Wobbly table, anyone? In the end, the Beatles called it quits. Was it all Yoko's fault? Of course not. Bands change, people grow, and sometimes you just got to move on. But Yoko, she definitely added fuel to the fire. John and Yoko making music and peace. Seriously, after the Beatles split, John and Yoko dove headfirst into their own projects. They were not just a couple in love, but a dynamic duo with a mission. They made music together, some of it a bit out there, even for the 70s. Their sound was a blend of rock, avant-garde, and experimental music that pushed the boundaries of what was considered mainstream. Think chanting, experimental sounds, and a whole lot of love. Their music wasn't just about entertainment, it was a form of expression, a way to communicate their ideals and emotions. They also became big-time peace activists. Their activism was as much a part of their identity as their music. They used their platform to speak out against war and promote peace. Remember those bed-ins for peace? Yeah, that was them. These bed-ins were a form of non-violent protest where they invited the media to their hotel room to discuss peace. John and Yoko using their fame to try and make the world a better place. They believed that their influence could bring about real change, and they were committed to using it for good. Love them or hate them, you got to admire their passion. Their dedication to both their art and their activism left a lasting impact on the world. They showed us that music and peace could go hand in hand, and that love truly is all you need. The Beatles' legacy is still going strong. Even though the Beatles broke up, their music, it lived on and on and on. People still listen to Hey Jude and Let It Be and all those classic tunes. The Beatles proved that four lads from Liverpool could change the world with their music. They inspired countless artists, made millions of people happy, and left behind a legacy that will last forever. Not bad for a bunch of mop-tops, eh? Life after the Beatles' solo stuff and sad times. The Beatles, a band that defined a generation, came to an end in 1970. But their story didn't stop there. After the band split, all four Beatles went on to have solo careers. Each member embarked on their own unique musical journey, exploring new sounds and styles, some more successful than others. While some found immense success, others faced challenges and mixed receptions. George found his spiritual side. He delved deep into Indian music and spirituality, producing hits like My Sweet Lord and organizing the concert for Bangladesh. Ringo kept on drumming. He released several solo albums and even had a few hits of his own, like It Don't Come Easy. Paul? He formed Wings and wrote even more hits. With songs like Band on the Run and Live and Let Die, Paul continued to dominate the charts and tour the world. As for John, he had his ups and downs. His solo career was marked by both critical acclaim and personal struggles. He made music with Yoko, became a dad again, and spoke out against injustice. John and Yoko's collaborations, like Imagine, became anthems for peace and love. But tragically, his life was cut short in 1980. The world was left in shock and mourning, a senseless act of violence that shocked the world. Fans gathered outside the Dakota building, holding vigils and paying tribute to a legend whose music and message will live on forever. The end, but not really. So there you have it, the story of John, Yoko, and the Beatles. It's a tale of love, loss, amazing music, and a whole lot of drama. Did Yoko break up the Beatles? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing's for sure, their music continues to inspire and entertain us to this day, and that, my friends, is what really matters. Peace and love.